really struggling to hang on here to P2 as he goes out onto the grass. That was a cleaner run that time from Wills. He goes down the inside into the final corner. Absolutely beautiful. But will he give up another position here? Because Osbaldson looks like he's trimmed out for top speed. Goes to the outside, back to the inside line, over the curb slightly. And again, another hugely brave overtake from Osbaldson. What a fantastic run that was. And he's going to have to summon moves like that all the way to the end of this sprint race, because this really does look like it's going to be incredibly tough to hang on here. There's real pace for both Wills and Sadaka, who must be getting a little bit frustrated now. He's been behind these pair for some time, and he knows he's got the pace for pole position. Let's see. He could decide to sit back and take essentially a P6 start for the next race, where the biggest points are on offer. And every place he gains now will be a place he loses on the starting grid for the feature race. Sadaka does like this outside run here, just waiting for there to be some kind of contact or sliding going on from the drivers in front of him. But I think his patience is going to wear thin pretty soon. Outside of this group, you've got Danko and Souza, I think, are catching now. They're only separated by 2 seconds each. Then Kishkin, Kula and Butler. And now it's Patrick Mostovsky in P10. Behind them, we have Zantimirov, Edwards, Bernardin, Puthera, Mikkelsen, Krasenberg, Molchaniuk, Safrani, Devine, Stanek, Heitzma, Carvalho, Sorotivsky, Yolnan, Werin, and Danilo Danet. Madatov is some distance back, and of course we've had a retirement from bracketing. Looks like Albin Yalin has managed to get himself back on track, and he's running. And given that he lost a wheel, that is no mean feat whatsoever. Vitvot, Osbaldson on your screen, followed by Wills and Sadaka. We've got the personal best sector there from Souza, who is getting quicker as he gets through towards the end of this race. We have just a few minutes left to go. Things are working nicely now, so thank you to Race Car Painter for the feedback there. Very grateful to have that. It is a cloudy day, but the sun has come out for the final portion of our race here. It's 21 laps so far. As I say, they are going very quickly. No very slow corners on this Lime Rock Park. The 444 here of Scott Edwards. And he's changed his livery to an early Williams livery here from the early 90s. It's very evocative for me. I actually have the Lego model of that very livery just in my view here above my screen as he comes down the outside. It is Scott Edwards, the 444. Can he go round the outside a la Nigel Mansell in Hungary against Senna? Not quite, but he's certainly trying to channel his race hero there with Zantimirov, but perhaps pushing a little bit too hard. Scott Edwards with the spin, and are losing positions now, sadly. Down to 16th position, Scott Edwards, unfortunately. Vitvot, Osbaldson, Wills and Sadaka still separated by less than a second from each other. Vitvot has a 4.4 second lead at this stage. As we look at Gergo Danko following, it is Andrei Souza. And I think there's a lap car in between them and Sai Sadaka. Danko now, as our curve continues as we cut to a driver who then immediately gets the rear wheels out onto the grass. We will hopefully not build on that one, but Reese Wills did hit right here. His little image of his car, it does not necessarily match his livery exactly, but you get the point. Number 54 out there, and they are exploring track limits now on the exit of West Bend turn 6. 18 minutes and a half have gone of the 20 down to 1.5 minutes now, and still hugging that inside wall is Noah Osbaldson. He'll try and keep that inside line. We haven't seen a successful move around the outside since lap 1, I think, here at Lime Rock Park, and he's hanging on right now with his fingernails to the end of this race. Roughly 47 to 48 second laps only here, so it should be the penultimate lap right now. Vitvot leads by 5.2 seconds as the rest of the podium are slowing each other down here. Number 2, Sai Sadaka, at the tail of this group, would love a podium out of race 1, but is focused, I'm sure, on how race 2 is going to go. Underneath, 1 minute before the checkered flag comes out, and Sadaka round taking that characteristic line around the outside, just expecting there to be trouble, but someone is going to have to go for a very strong move very soon as we join Sadaka on board. The best seat in the house to watch this battle, I'm sure. P4, we are riding on board there as he comes through, and the time is ticking away. The last 15 seconds, but will the leader be able to go through before the checkered flag? Very difficult to see. Big crossed up over the hill there for him as we get very close to the end of our race. The checker has gone, and I think that is going to mean, let me just wait to confirm, but Vitvot wins then in Lime Rock Park as the next drivers are fighting over the remaining places as Oswaldson and Will separated by 54 thousandths of a second. Sadaka home just behind them with Souza, Danko, Kishkin and Kula the top 8. Louis Butler finishing 9th. Patrick Mostovsky will get the pole position in the feature race there in P10 in race 1. Then Timirov ahead of Bernardin in 12th with Perthera and Mikkelsen, Krasenberg and Edwards, followed by Molchaniuk and Devine, I think, will finish in that order. 17th and 18th. 19th place, Zafranio with Stanek in 20th, Heitzma 21st, Carvalho, Leonin, Sorakivsky, Veren, Donet, Maratov, and I'm not sure whether Ilya Rakitin will find himself classified with the finish there, 10 laps down. But congratulations to Vitvot, Oswaldson, and Wills for that podium once again. Vitvot and Oswaldson heading the championship coming into this race, and they'll be holding on to those the top 2 positions at this stage. But another great win then for Luciano Vitvot, who is unbeaten so far in the F4 Challenge by Ukrainian Racing League. We'll just be looking at a few replays while we take a quick warm-up break. Back in a few moments.
Hey everybody, it's time for the feature race. It's dropped the clutch and it's go, go, go. Mostovsky ahead of Butler here on the front row with the Nova Motorsports East team duking it out then into turn one for the first time. Looks like a good move from Louis Butler around the outside potentially. That will be the inside for turn 2 and 3, and then he slides his way into the lead of the race. Unfortunately for Nova Motorsports, Conrad Kula finds his way into P2. Behind them, Kishkin following Mostovsky and Souza. Battling hard with Sadaka, who is already up several positions there. Sadaka looking good from the start of this race. We've got Reese Wills, Osberson, Danko and Vitvot 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. And look at the absolute melee going on in through in the uphill West Bend section on this first race. And it is massive danger zone for our drivers to try and survive this first lap, as one driver is heading in towards pit road just to get out of trouble. I think Conrad Kula to the inside into turn 1 into the big bend. Conrad Kula takes the lead for just a mini sector, but it looks like, for a minute there I thought Louis Butler was going to hang on, as Kishkin and Mostovsky are fighting very hard indeed behind the two leaders here. The number 3, Conrad Kula, in ahead of Louis Butler, Patrick Mostovsky and Pavlo Kishkin in the top 4 on this 40-minute Lime Rock Park feature race. That's insane air. Conrad Kula catching over the uphill. I think it's the camera angle, but it's absolutely fantastic. Conrad Kula ahead of Butler then, and they are starting to gap away from Mostovsky and Kishkin. Several places being traded there. It looks like in the midfield there's a lot of battling going on. Look at this, 3 wide, 4 wide, possibly even 5 as they go down that start-finish straight. Who is the bravest? That's Scott Edwards in the 90s era Williams livery, and that was a skid, and someone has gone off. I think that's Molchaniuk, but it may well have caught some other drivers. Keep your eye on the gold car here, directly behind the Nova Motorsports. Snatches a break. That's the Apex F1 movie team colour scheme there, and he's spun, and I think managed to avoid anybody else. Here is Kara Krasenberg, the 117 coming through, and she's staying ahead of Scott Edwards. And Krasenberg and Edwards have come together on the same patch of tarmac quite a few times already in this F4 challenge through this year and the previous year's F4 challenge. It's Conrad Kula ahead of Butler by the tiniest 0.3 of a second as they come through lap 4. Mostovsky and Souza next, but Oswaldson, the big mover from the tail end of the top 10 there. Vitvot is following him through. Reese Wills has lost out to the two people that he shared the podium with earlier on. Bernardin and Jönen, 8th and 9th. Expect quite a strong performance now from Jönen. He really needs the points after not scoring many at all in that first sprint race. Big incident for him, losing the car and one wheel and the rear wing as well. The eco.gg Motorsports, there's a car just pouring off on the grass there, trying to find his way back to the pit lane without a rear wing. It's Andre Souza on the inside in the eco colours with the Nova Motorsports car directly around the outside. Conrad Kula's lost 2 positions through this sector of the racetrack as well. Conrad Kula down to 3rd because Louis Butler and Patrick Mostovsky have found their way through into 1st and 2nd positions. Hopefully we'll be able to see that again, but a big moment there for Conrad Kula as the Nova Motorsports team are working hard together. There's a fair few of them on the racetrack, but it's Butler and Mostovsky ahead here, and then it's Souza and Oswaldson who wants to make it a 3-way all Nova Motorsports podium, I'm sure. But Vitvot will have something to say there, following through in the blue colour scheme as there goes Andre Souza into the pit lane. It's not disaster if people are in the pits, because we do often see drivers need a tyre change or a refuel here to go flat out through the rest of the race. But of course, if we get a safety car, there will be a free or very quick light pit stop to be able to cash in during that time. This is the lead battle, but they are already catching some drivers who have been in the pit to put a lap on them after just 4.5 minutes. That looked like it was the Apex F1 team colour scheme there at the back. Or no, it must have been Sai Sadaka, who's dropped all the way down to 28. We'd love to see a start replay at some stage of Sai Sadaka, because I think he's
unfortunately gone all the way to the back of the grid. This is not the first time this championship side Stark has lost a lot of places at the start of a race, but this is perhaps the lowest he has been out in 28th position. Scott Edwards then pressurizing the Nova Motorsports driver who's just clean driven off the circuit behind him. Scott Edwards, I think, I'm not sure exactly who that was, but we've got Ilya Rakitin, who of course disconnected right at the start of the sprint race. He's up to 12th place now as well. What a start from Rakitin. As here he is, front and center. And hopefully trying to pick up as many points as possible. This is Rakitin following Kyra Krasenberg, who I think has managed to get herself into the Nova Motorsports team here in between rounds. This is a new livery for Kyra, the 117, the 375 of Ilya Rakitin round the outside, but we don't often see the outside run work here unless it's lap one. Rakitin just having to feed back in. Kyra Krasenberg, one of our fan favourites here on the stream, is managing this defensive work very well so far. But there's a lot of car management to do, both fuel and tyres. The drivers can opt to go for a quick splash and dash pit stop, or to try and short shift for the whole race and save fuel. It's up to them how they manage their race management. There's no required pit stop. Here is Noah Osbaldson then at the tail end now. It is a 1-2-3 for Nova Motorsports. It's Louis Butler, Mostovsky and Osbaldson. Osbaldson in the stronger championship position. He'll be straight onto the radio there with the team principal saying, I'm faster, I'm better in the championship. You've got to let these guys let me get some distance from Wittbott. Wittbott is fighting hard, and Wittbott has, I think, now made contact. I think Mostovsky and Wittbott made a little bit of contact there. Wittbott's certainly slower, and there is Mostovsky, who was just slightly sideways to the racetrack going through sector one. Let's have a look at this. We're going to action replay this one as he turns in, and certainly there was a Wittbott-shaped car that triggered that incident there for Mostovsky. I wonder if we will end up, look, as we turn to the right, our rear wheel is just ahead. Oh, that could be netcode. It was there was no obvious contact between the two cars, but clearly Mostovsky getting spun there, unfortunately. So that would have been a surprise to Wittbott, our championship leader, because he would have expected there to be a gap between the two cars. Here's Rakitin outside inside, shaking it all about in pursuit of P8, and that is got Edwards. Is it? No, that's the number 8 of Bartosz Safranio. The Polish driver in P11. Patrick Moskowski down at the moment, all the way, unfortunately, in 18th position, Mostovsky, and it was a 1-2-3 for the Nova Motorsports team for a couple of laps maximum, sideways and launching the car in the air. That looks like Mostovsky driving a little bit angry right now. Not with the car in front of him necessarily, but he's getting so close that I think the car is loosening there at the rear with the dirty air of the car behind. Here is Konrad Kula, who led the race for a few moments, and we've had so many changes of position in the top group. Konrad Kula up and over the uphill. You do want to try and straighten that car before you go airborne. Because you are taking what is already a very risky situation, and you're applying a multiplier onto that risk. Here comes from the outside is Wittbott chasing down Louis Butler, and behind them you've got Noah Osbaldson, who's taken the lead of the race in the Nova Motorsports up ahead. The 105 of Louis Butler will be under instructions to slow Wittbott down as much as possible, but he snatches a front brake. The car understeers wide, and through goes Wittbott to go off in pursuit of what would be a 4th successive race win here through the 2 rounds of our F4 challenge. As I said before, Luciano Wittbott is undefeated so far in our championship, and that is incredible when you consider we have a 28-car F4 field. Focusing now on Alexander Mikkelsen, the number 25, currently running in 8th position and chasing down Marvin Bernardin in P7 there, the Frenchman. It's light green versus dark green. It's kind of British racing green versus Aston Martin green as they run down that start-finish straight. The number 25 peels to the outside Marvin Bernardin giving him that outside line, but not allowing him the chance to get to the apex first. Behind them, we've got that yellow, blue, and white livery of Scott Edwards. Back to the battle at the front here. Well, we've certainly got Louis Butler there. The split livery car, I think, has been lapped as he pulls across to the inside, gets out of the way of the battling podium runners here. Kula in fourth, Wills and Jonan is that just behind there in the background. But ahead of that, in the 105 of Louis Butler, who was given a strong start here thanks to the reverse grid, but he's now going to try and hold on. He's made a mistake once into Big Bend, and I think that mistake was repeated there through the first turn and into turn 2. It looked like one turn, but it is numbered twice, Big Bend, at the start of the lap, and we are risking it all there. Interlocking wheels as they risking netcode once again through that turn 4 now, and climbing the uphill section of this Lime Rock Park and over that sharp crest as the cars resettle back down onto their suspension. It's Osbaldson who leads Wittbot by 0.4 of a second only, but that's only a 2-car battle pack, as we've got a 5-car group right now fighting over this position. We've got Albin Jolan there with the yellow nosed and the Swedish blue rear of the car going side by side with Reese Wills, who is second in our championship, I think. After round 1, no, my mistake, he's 5th. It's Osbaldson who's second in the championship. Louis Butler then P1 at the moment ahead. Osbaldson ahead of Wittbot. This is Louis Butler in P3 with Comrade Kula and Reese Wills, the blue and the turquoise respectively cars, trying to hold off Albin Jolan, who's slotted in between the two of them there on the approach to this West Bend around Bridge Station. James Perthera has had some damage, I think, and is crawling into the pit lane. Here comes Luciano Wittbot. Does he dive to the inside? It was very odd to see Osbaldson not defend the inside line there. He and Wittbot clearly sharing some kind of an understanding. There's still action going on in the cars behind this group, but yeah, clearly Osbaldson not believing that Wittbot was going to go for the move down into turn 1. As we look back at Mikkelsen, he was P8 a few moments ago, still P8 as the cars try to catch the group ahead and make what is already a very busy racetrack even tighter on the way through. Scott Edwards with the lime green wheels, neon green wheels, flying over the top of the hill crest, and then going back downhill. Here we go, back down that start-finish straight. Wittbot still just following the wheel tracks of Osbaldson. I don't think I've ever seen a leader and the following car just not try and change places like this before. I think they have communicated in some way to each other that it's better to make this a 2-horse race to the end of the race. Stay safe and away from the following pack. How about Albin Jolan back up to P3 now ahead of this group? He's found his way through a very, very crowded racetrack to get back into that great position as well. Absolutely outstanding work from Albin Jolan, especially considering he had such a problem in race 1. But he'll be slightly shy on the corner where he went wrong before and lost the rear wheel and rear wing of his F4 car. Down that start-finish straight once again. This is Louis Butler, still in 4th. Still in with a good chance of a strong result, but I would imagine starting to think of ways that he can try and make an overtake. But Albin Jolan kind of belongs up at the front in terms of his outright pace, but he's not been able to convert those runs so far this season. It's been a rough start for what is a very quick driver out there right now. I'm just going to double check. Where are we? Okay. No, I haven't got him on our leaderboard, so he must have lost some points at the start of this season. Anyway, into the pit goes. Was that Rakitin in the pit? No, it's Reese Wills who's ducked out of this battle and gone into the pit, trying to get an undercut going on here, trying to use new tyres to pass the group. while he gets some fresh air. He'll be looking at the track map or communicating with his engineer as to whether there is a gap to come out of the pit into. The worst thing you can do is fit new tyres and come in and be following other cars. This is the number 7, Anthony Heitzmer, who's worked his way into P12 so far. Lots of battling throughout this race track. I think we could end up with 4 or 5 different views running at once and still not catch every overtake. Noah Osbaldson going down that start-finish straight, just the tiniest gap between himself and Luciano Vitvot, who is just under 0.2 of a second. The amount of trust that is being placed between these drivers in each other, both Osbaldson in Vitvot for not running into him, and Vitvot or Osbaldson not giving him a brake check or doing something unpredictable. I think these drivers are quite used to racing each other, because that is a very unusual sight to see drivers running quite so close together without an attack coming. 4.5 seconds is the gap between second and third position, which is about what Vitvot lead was in race 1. So Albin Yolen in P3 ahead of Louis Butler, Conrad Kula and Marvin Bernardin got Edwards within sight of that group as well. As we see what Noah Osbaldson can see. Have a look in those mirrors, because you can see how little of the Vitvot car you can actually see in those mirrors, because he's following him so tightly here. For Project 26, Luciano Vitvot, the number 60, our championship leader and triple race winner so far this season. What's interesting, I think, to me is that iRacing make the sky above the halo a little bit dirty, even though there is no aero screen on the car. I think that's an interesting feature of the run. It's almost as if there is like a plexiglass cover on the car. That doesn't exist. You can see it's following the car in front. Actually, the gap opening out slightly now. Here is Andre Souza with the matching gloves to his rear wing for the Eco.gg team, racing out of Brazil. Andre Souza. As I say, we have a multinational grid, not just European here today. I know Brandon Devine, Andre Souza, and Giovanni Carvalho, all racing from across the Atlantic. And of course, we've got Sai Siddhartha from India, who's currently in 26th position after being in dead last for a minute or two there at the start of our race. Madatov is in the 13th place as well. Here we have him racing out of Kazakhstan, 73, following Alan Madatov following Valentin Veren for 12th position, and looking for any gap that he can possibly fit his car. That's one of the eco cars going into the pits. Looks like it's actually Bartosz Safrani. And Osbaldson still leads by just 1.5 of a second from Luciano Vitvot. A fantastic battle is shaping up between these two. Vitvot, I'm assuming, trying to save some fuel following Osbaldson there. Let Osbaldson's car and aerodynamics do all the work to break up the air on the car, and then just keep behind, and you should be able to use less fuel. Albin Yolen in P3 is 5 seconds away from the battle there at the head of the field. A faster lap that time from Osbaldson, was 1/10 faster than Vitvot, but still the gap just about 1/10 between the two cars. Louis Butler in 4th, Conrad Kula in 5th, Bernardin in 6th, with Scott Edwards, Kyra Kraftenberg 7th and 8th positions. We cut to Sai Siddhartha, who's trying to do this job there to recover from dead last here today, and he's following Zantimirov and Safrani. Bartosz Safrani, I think, went into the pit and has come out here. That's going to make life quite difficult for Sai Siddhartha, because he'll probably have new tyres on. Goes to the inside line here, Siddhartha against Zantimirov, and that will be for a change for position. Will it? Going to hold on in P24 now, Sai Siddhartha, but his gap to the leader is what he will be most concerned about. I don't think he's managed to take a pit stop just yet. I tell you who has. We saw Reece Wills in the pit. He came out in 15th place, or at least is 15th now. Alexander Mikkelsen has also pitted and come out behind him. as Reese Wills tries to get by Sorakivsky for 14th position. There's a move working for the outside. You can see Reese Wills giving a big gap to the inside line, and it's a good job he did, because I think Sorakivsky locked the wheel on the way in through the corner. Here is Ilya Rakitin. No luck in the first round. Plenty of luck in this one, as Ilya Rakitin is managing to continue then. He managed to work his way up very, very well indeed. And I quite see exactly. He's in 9th now. Scott Edwards and Conrad Kula. Conrad Kula pits and drops down positions. So does Vitvot, our championship leader, and P2 as he was. Osbaldson gets a little bit of relief, and off goes Krasenberg on the Grassenberg, and she manages to hang on as the car is starting to drift, but she just about keeps that one planted. Great save from Kara Krasenberg, holding on to 7th place, and that will be enough of a frightener for Kyra. Hopefully she can settle down now. I wonder if the tyres are dropping off, but there goes the launched into the air Williams livery 444 here of Scott Edwards, as he follows behind Marvin Bernardin, who does not pit, but he looks like he's going to. He peels across to the inside, and Scott Edwards just says, I'm just not interested in the slipstream right now. I'm just going to stay on this outside line, try and make you overcommit to the inside defence, and we'll see what we will see. That's 21 minutes and a half gone out of our 40-minute feature race. Another pit stop coming in. That's Louis Butler then, as Albin Jörnlen takes the lead of the race. Looks like our previous leader has pitted Osbaldson. Where has he come out? It looks like he's come out in front of Vitvot. He's managed to put in some good laps there, and they've got Valentin Veren in between the two of them. So what was around a 1/10 gap between our race leaders has become an entire car in between, but it looks like Vitvot's got by Veren as well down there at in P8. But the gap has grown to 1.2 seconds to Noah Osbaldson, who will now try to gain from a pit stop there coming from Krasenberg, and they gain another position. Still waiting for pit stops from Jörnlen, Bernardin, Edwards and Rakitin. Heitzmer as well. The top 5 currently, as far as my information is concerned, have not pitted yet. Jörnlen, Bernardin. This, though, Andre Souza, following our former P2 driver, as we cut to have a look at Sai Sadaka, making his way up this high quality field of F4 drivers. Sai Sadaka now in the 22nd position, 6th up from where he found himself at the end of lap 1. More pit stops coming. Jörnlen and Bernardin and Rakitin all in the pit. Scott Edwards, your new race leader, for maybe a lap or two as they get deep into the second half of this race. Noah Osbaldson's gap to Scott Edwards, 7 seconds now, and it's closing fast. So we will perhaps see Scott Edwards come into the pit lane very soon. But for a moment, we get to see a 90s GP car in the Williams livery at the head of the field. I don't think he's managed to arrange for himself active suspension, Scott Edwards, as well as the colour scheme. Gogo Danko in P6 the number 6 Gogo Danko. He's down in 16th overall. And we have a look at a replay of him. It looks like he's managed to lose his rear wing running over the grass only. As he cuts back through, it looked like that rear wing, was it just that, yeah, this is getting loose. Oh, it wasn't. It wasn't only the jump. It was the jump followed by a tank slapper and then a nerf in the rear, unfortunately for him. Here is Gogo Danko with a repaired car, as we cut to Valentin Veren fighting with the 73 there. Was it the 73? I think it is. 75, Valentin Veren fighting with our 73, Alan Madatov, Nova Esports car. Noah Osbaldson, P1 ahead of Vitvot by 1 second now, and that will not allow Vitvot to be saving any fuel, I don't imagine. But hopefully we will have a battle later on. The top group are all separated by a second or more. Comrade Kula, unfortunately, has got a gap of 3.5 seconds to P5. Here is Krasenberg. She can see Scott Edwards' Williams car, 2 cars ahead of her, and they were battling, and she was ahead, but she did have that off-track scare. So here we have Krassenberg following Bernard down. I didn't see if it was Bernard down or just a similar looking car that hit Danko. I think it possibly was Bernard down. So we might see an incident report with the stewards later on. But oh, the big slide again from Krassenberg. She goes around the outside of the number 9. So Krassenberg up to 10th now. But not saving tyres at this stage of the race. Here is Gergo Danko. Lost one rear wing. He's got a new one fitted, and he's down in, what was it, 16th? No, it's now 20th positions after that incident. But he's following behind Molchaniuk, Yevgen Molchaniuk, and then Stanek just ahead of them as well. But Stanek just there's a huge gap between P16 and 17. Ilya Rakitin is able to continue at the moment. He's in P8 and he's got great pace out there, and he's hoping for a good points haul. As we see Vitbot start to close underneath the second versus Noah Osborne, and Gergo Danko could not be closer to the Apex GP colour scheme car in front. He knows how dangerous that is because someone did it to him just a few minutes ago. But he gets up the inside on the downhill section and through the final corner, and that's Gergo Danko then up another position, up to 19th place. But he has a lot more quality than someone who should be down that low in the positions. Gergo Danko entered today's race in 3rd position after a 2nd and a 9th from our first races. Osbaldson and Vitbot heading the championship in the other order that I've just mentioned there. I'm just wondering if I can... no, I can't. So I was just wondering if the results were available on SimGrid just yet, but you can follow the Ukrainian Racing League on SimGrid and find out how to join as well. So please do, if you are a highly rated iRacer. And you think you can mix it with the pace of the cars out here. But pace is one thing, racecraft is quite another. The two Nova Motorsports drivers, this is Mostovsky featuring on our screen, and he has a teammate directly in front of him. Patrick Mostovsky in the number 12. Just following the American driver Brandon L. Devine. And here we have Alan Madatov from Kazakhstan in the 73. And he's not far away from Valentin Veron. But the top drivers so far is Osbaldson and Vitbot, now separated by half a second only. Vitbot really starting to dial up the pace as we enter the final third of our race. Vitbot, I think it's time to stop following in the wheel tracks, and it's time to start attacking. Now down to 0.3 of a second between the two of them. A 1/10 of a second faster that lap for Vitbot. So we'll hopefully catch those two before the pace turns into an overtake. But Osbaldson still hanging on here to the lead ahead of Vitbot, and Souza 4.4 seconds further back. Souza could see Albin Jörnen catch him as well and pass him. Reese Wills was showing very well in the race 1 in the sprint race, but you do need a different level of discipline to try and take on these longer races, these 40-minute races. Osbaldson, I know a lot of our drivers will be used to doing endurance level stint of an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 or 4. Here is the battle for the lead then as Osbaldson leads. We've got some cars up ahead. Now that's going to be interesting because those are Nova Motorsports cars, as Osbaldson might be able to get on the radio here and warn the drivers that they're coming through. We will see if that is what happens. But Vitbot would love to make the overtake before they even get there. Looks like Vitbot has got pace as he follows over the jump here at Lime Rock Park. This is in the state of Connecticut in the US, Lime Rock Park, and obviously deep in a forest as well. As that is a good exit then, and for the first time here that we're actually seeing Vitbot challenge for the lead of the race. He's alongside, in fact he's slightly ahead on the way into turn 1. The big bend and the big championship leader, undefeated Luciano Vitbot, takes the lead of the race for the first time here really on lap 37 as we enter the final quarter of our race. That is a huge moment for our championship. Vitbot Osbaldon was trying, of course, to gain positions on Wittbot, to gain points on Wittbot, but this will see Wittbot continue to walk away from him in the championship. He came in to this round with a 13-point lead, and the championship is only going to extend if he can finish ahead of Osbaldon here. And that all occurred before they came upon what is that looks like. That is Louis Butler, who was in second position at one point in this race, dropping down now, unfortunately, to 16th place. As we look at Andre Souza and Albin Jurnen, it would be fantastic if we can end up with a three-way battle at the front of the race, but Albin Jurnen is definitely taking his time here to get by Andre Souza. Andre Souza, of course, working hard to stay ahead and defend from what could be a speculative move. If he manages to hang on here, it's going to be very, very strong result for Andre Souza for the eco.gg team. There is Albin Jurnen wearing his Swedish colours, following him as tightly and as closely as he possibly can downhill through the turn 7 of the final corner of this Lime Rock Park. Albin Jurnen peels across to the outside. That's the side of the track that suits Souza no end to hang on, as of course the distance is much shorter for Souza on the inside of those really long corners. But if Jurnen can hang on around the outside and get slightly ahead, then he will have the inside line for the next corner. So he'll be planning his move, setting up the Souza as much as possible, looking for the dodgy move there through the uphill and over the top of the crest, through the jump. And here is Jurnen. The gap at the front of the race, 0.3 of a second now. Wittbot not managing to put a huge gap on Osbaldon. We'll see if he can reel him back in and use the slipstream himself. Now, to the inside comes Albin Jurnen. It was the other way around last lap, and that took an entire lap of hard work for Albin Jurnen to get ahead in the 3:11 for Sim Esports, and he's ahead, and that's looking very good indeed. A three-way battle currently. This is Osbaldon, is it? As a lapping, I think that might be lapping Butler, and they go side by side over the jump. Would you believe it? Absolutely insane, as we've got a car losing out in the background as well. On the inside line, through West Bend, downhill, through the final corner, and Noah Osbaldon takes the position once again, tries to give the slipstream to Butler, who crashes into Wittbot, and that's massive for the championship. That is and bigger than that, it is. Oh dear. Okay, Wittbot is not happy at all, because that is a massive incident then for Butler and Wittbot. Let's have another look at this as to the rights and wrongs. Butler was trying to stay, but really did cross across the track there, and you can understand why Wittbot might be absolutely incensed by that, as he was on for a 4th consecutive win. There was no effort by Wittbot to regather the car there. You could be generous to him and suggest that maybe he was trying to clear both cars off the racing line. But as they turn through this corner, that is so risky between the two. There was the tiniest of touches. I don't think there was any malice at this point. And then Louis Butler starts to follow his teammate. I was expecting him to stay with him and hold the line down the inside, but for some reason he suddenly steers across the face of Luciani Wittbot. Osbaldon innocent in that scenario, but that puts our 3-race winner out of 3, Luciano Wittbot, out of the point scoring positions today. Massive incident for the championship, and implications for how the team operate. And what these stewards can do there. But Noah Osbaldon just continues on his way with a 5-second lead with 6 minutes left to go. Let me know in the live audience how you call that incident, what your feeling of it is, and hopefully we'll get to speak to a driver or two at the end of the race, and they might have an opinion on that one. Anyway, this is the remainder of the race. Souza and Jurnen now fighting over P2. In their wildest dreams, they wouldn't have expected this. Noah Osbaldon has checked out at the head of the field and will be on the radio to his teammates. Reese Wills is also knocking on the door of a podium here as well. He's only managed He's only managed a 6th and 8th from the first round of this championship, so this would represent a fantastic result for him. Oswaldson, Jonan and Souza here on the screen with Wills, Kula, Mikkelsen, Rakitin, Edwards, Krasenberg, Bernardin, your top 10. Here is Alan Madatov with a driver in front and behind. That is 75 of Valentin Veren, who has quietly managed to put himself in a really strong position here today. He featured in the battle for the lead because he came out of the pits, because they came out of the pits either side of him, Veren, but there were no issues there for his driving. Just concentrated on his own race out there. We've got behind them, we've got Heitzma, Veren, Madatov here on screen. Then Devine and Mostovsky 14th and 15th. Stanex in 16th. Molchaniuk Sadaka is now 18th position. Gogo Danko, having repaired his rear wing, is in 19th place. Zafrani and Donetsk, Donetsk and Sorokivsky swap positions. Vitvot still in the pits there. I think that's Donetsk going into the pits. And Louis Butler in the 105. I think he's still circulating. He's not currently in the pits, but he's got some work here to try and regain positions. Here is Brandon Devine, his Nova Motors Esports team in the number 57 car. Brandon Devine in 14th place. Got Edwards pits for the second time, I think, or is that the first time for Scott Edwards? It could well be the first time he pits now. And he'll hope to slot back onto the racetrack in front of Veren Madatov battle. Here is Sai Sadaka. Remember, he was 28th and dead last at the end of lap 1, but has the pace to be pole position in our qualifying session. So he'll be hoping to get himself some decent points today out of the race, and a testament to Sai Sadaka for not giving up. You could very easily go from the expectations of a pole position to dead last in the race and decide that that's you done for the day. Here comes Sai Sadaka then, and he goes past Yevgen Moltanyuk in that 18th position. There's always a driver who picks the number 69, and today it's Yevgen Moltanyuk. It's Oswaldson leading Jolan and Souza. Jolan ahead of Souza now for second and third positions. 0.3 of a second separating those two drivers, and we've got Reith Wills further back in fourth, with Konrad Kula in 5th position out there. I haven't heard from our live audience yet as to what they make of the incident. I did know that someone, JXD, was here to cheer on Louis Butler. It's not a surprise that particular viewer is staying quiet at the moment. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you all before we lose you at the end of the race. It's 37, nearly 38 minutes elapsed of the 40. What a huge jump there from the car behind Souza. That's Reith Wills, who is trying, of course, to get onto the podium, but that was nearly fatal from Reith Wills as he goes over the hill sideways, lands 2 wheels in the grass. Noah Oswaldson leading the race with just under 2 minutes left to go. Here is the remaining battles then for that podium, as Oswaldson's lead is 5.5 seconds. Vitvot still in the pits, of course, after catastrophic damage. Looks like Louis Butler has rejoined and is still circulating. Yeah, 49.8 for Louis Butler. Trying to pick off any points that he can out of today. But Valentin Veren, who is in that number 75 there, racing out of the Netherlands, for Team Netherlands, it looks like, on our screen, as we head in towards the final minute of our race. Noah Oswaldson, the number 24, has just crossed the line. Looks like this will be the penultimate lap of the race, given our lap distance of about 49 seconds. I don't think he's got time to slow up and cross the line ahead of Albin Jolan, who will be absolutely put to the floor to the finish, just in case there's any issue there for the leader. But right now, Oswaldson focusing on getting the car home as safely as possible. Just keeping my eye on where the number 24 is and where the clock is at the moment. Number 24 goes through West Bend and he's heading downhill now. with just 20 seconds on the clock. So there will be one final lap as the drivers come through. Leader crosses the line, and it is one final lap for him. Some of the drivers behind will take the checkered flag, I would imagine, being a lap down. Osbaldeston's crosses the line. He is clearly slowing the car slightly in the low 48. Some drivers are a little bit quicker. That's the driver going into the pits right at the end here, getting out of the way. It's Ilya Rakitin to the line, side by side, the 375, with Alexander Mikkelsen and Conrad Kula, I believe. These are the two Nova Motorsports cars. The 105, I think, is Louis Butler down a lap here, and he spins as well. It wouldn't surprise me if he's got damage. The 57 car there behind is going, and it's Noah Osbaldeston who celebrates with a drift at the end. May even take the lead of the championship here ahead of Albin Jolen and Souza. And Jolen put a large skid at the end of the race, but Osbaldeston, Jolen, and Souza ahead of Wills, Conrad Kula, and a fantastic result then for Ilya Rakitin, P6, as he comes towards the line just ahead of Kyra Krasenberg in P7, I think, or was that Kula and Rakitin? I think it was Kula and Rakitin. There goes Louis Butler to cross the line a lap down, of course. Krasenberg crosses in 7th. We've got Bernardin in 8th, very close between the two of them. Anthony Heitzmer in 9th, and momentarily rounding out the top 10 will be Alexander Mikkelsen. Valentin Verin in 11th, Maratov in 12th. Got Edwards, Mostovsky, Devine, Danko, Sadaka in 17th, gaining 11 places at one point in that race, ahead of Stanek, Safrani, Molchaniuk, Orokivsky, Louis Butler in 22nd, and then a further lap down, Danilo Donet, and then we have our non-finishers, Vitbot, Zantimirov, Cavallo, Perthera, and Kishkin. Congratulations to Noah Osbaldeston, Albin Jolen, and Andre Souza for their fantastic podium. Hope you enjoyed that one. As the unfortunately our retired driver Luciano Vitbot stops by. I don't imagine there was any malice, but I think there was probably a significant accident there between himself and Luciano Vitbot. And hopefully we will be able to speak to some drivers very soon for you here before we depart. If you have a question for any of our drivers, then do drop it in the live chat. Keep it clean and positive, though. Of course, we do want to make sure that everyone is behaving professionally. If you haven't got a nice question to ask, then perhaps don't. We have someone joining us. Unfortunately, though, their Discord name is different to their race name. So
dear.
I'm hoping is it Noah?
Yes, it is. Oh, that's my bad. Oops.
Noah the Mango. I think I'm going to have to call you now. But it's Noah Osbaldeston, our race winner here. Congratulations. That looked like you had to work very hard. Are you hot and sweaty after that race?
Absolutely. That race was completely manic. There was cars everywhere. And sort of going into this race, I knew it would be a very chaotic race. Lots of crashes, lots of thrills, lots of spills, a lot of tyre wear. Was not expecting that. That was a whole nother level of chaos from sort of halfway through the race. The pit stops thought I would calm down, and then I ended up coming out into the battle for like the top 10 as I pit a lap earlier. Then it was Luciano that was actually behind me then the pit stop. So I thought, because I was kind of expecting to be in for another 2 races of second places, unfortunately. But then all of a sudden I come out in front of the pit stop. I'm like, hang on a minute. It's not over till the checker flag falls. So yeah, sort of put my head down, got through the traffic, and then just again just played it safe, played it clean, and for my end it was quite a tactical race. Yeah.
How did you ever forget to breathe again after going over that jump each time, lap after lap? It looked like that was really on the edge.
My spinal cord does not approve of the jump. Yeah, it definitely adds a lot of character, and sometimes in the practice as well, it's sort of worrying that sometimes if you didn't land quite right, you could get suspension damage.
Wow.
So I was quite cautious in the race. Took it very easy, made sure I land flat, which again to me is a completely new concept of trying to not only learn a track but learn how to successfully land an F4
How do
car
you
on a
land?
runway,
Yeah.
basically. Um, Yeah, so that was completely different, and that added a complete aspect to the race as well. There was a lot of chaos over the jumps, and I think although there were quite a lot of one-on-one crashes and things and people getting taken out, it is incredibly difficult to race side by side, and especially when the track is quite narrow in places as well.
It
Um,
looked like for the start of the race that Luciano was quite happy to run behind you. Were you feeling nervous at all, or were you thinking, I know what he's doing. He's saving the car.
Yes, 100%. I knew from as soon as he was sort of working together, he was willing to let me sort of punch a hole through the
Yeah,
traffic in race two. And to be fair, I was quite happy where I was. I know I had quite a few teammates in front of me as well. It got to a point where the Nova cars were one, two, three, um,
yes,
and I was like, right, now this is a bit controversial. What do we do in this sort of situation? But eventually it sort of fizzled out. And to be fair, shout out to Luciano. He's an absolute rapid peddler. Like he's
yeah,
unbelievably fast. I didn't actually see what happened. I was going down the straight with Louis was trying to let us pass, and he was in a really awkward position in the middle of both of us. Um, and I could hear him in the VC trying to be like, "What should I do? What should I do?" Because he just
yeah,
completely froze. He didn't know what to do. He was in a really bad position, and yeah, Louis is very inexperienced with these Formula races.
right.
And all of a sudden, I looked to my left, and they're two on each other in the bar, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh dear.
Well, you have to
But
have to review the footage. I know you haven't had time to see it again, so I won't hold you to anything that you're saying at the moment. But yeah, obviously very very unfortunate. What was your feeling? Were you holding anything back? Did you feel like Luciano might have got you in the end had there not been a coming together, or were you feeling pretty confident of the result?
honestly, I couldn't have told you. The racing was so close around here.
Yeah,
It could have been. I mean, if the race had gone one lap to white flag and there was five of us in a slipstream train, any of us could have won it. Which is sort of what makes the racing so good around here. Is at those final few laps, if you're all in a slipstream train, anyone could win it.
right.
Um, So honestly, I couldn't tell you. I'd like to think that I would have come out on top, but I can't down talk anybody
Yeah,
because
I
I
think
would
that's
not
a
know.
that's a great summary. I appreciate that. So congratulations, Noah, the first one to break Vitvot's streak there. But yeah, fantastic race. Obviously, you had to be there. You had to work incredibly hard to take that feature race win. So congratulations, and good luck in the next round as well. We're going to bring in, I think, our second place finisher, Albin Yolen.
Correct.
Albin, hi.
What's
How are
up?
you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've really enjoyed watching that race. How was it from your seat?
Oh, it was a lot of ups and downs. The first race, well, we got started in the quali, or in the practice even. I only got like 20 minutes of practice on this track, so I didn't really do a very good qualifying. I think I started like P5 or something in the first race, and then I did a mistake. I ended up in the wall, so I got a
Right.
meatball, and my rear right went away from my car.
Yep.
So I have to go to the pit. From there I got like P22, 23 or something. Yeah, not the best. But
Amazing,
race two.
amazing comeback. How was that process of going through that feature race and passing so many cars?
Yeah, well, I hope you saw some of that in the stream because it was very exciting for me. It was whenever I'm in those kind of situations, I'm like either I win or I die. Like
Yeah,
it's all or nothing. That's like kind of how I drive when I ended up in situations like that.
nice, nice. Well, it worked today.
Yep.
How was it over the jumps for you?
The jump was okay. I was more scared about the turn before because you get so much understeer there, and if you hit the curb wrong, you end up in the wall on the left. But the
Yeah.
jump itself was quite fine, and the
Oh, good.
turn after the
Okay.
jump as well is quite scary.
Yeah, yeah. It's a scary place. There's only a few turns, but yeah, fantastic. I mean, amazing result for you there. Were you able to drive and save any fuel, or were you just flat out the whole way through?
I did a little bit of fuel saving when I got past like group that was 6, 5, 4, and 3. I think it was
Yeah.
something like that. I fuel saved a little bit there when I was behind them, but once I got past them, I just thought to myself like I need to get away from these guys so they don't end up in my slipstream.
Right.
But it was just a tiny bit, and that was as well. No, it was before the pit stop, but it didn't really matter in the end.
A fantastic result. I mean, well done indeed. What a strong drive. Do you have hopes of being able to compete out there at the absolute front then with the likes of Vitvot and Osbaldson? if you can get a clean qualifying?
Yeah, I think I could stay in the slipstream at least. But I mean, those guys are 6 and 7K rated. That's I'm only 4, if you can say that. So it's very hard to stay with them. But of course, I will try my best. And in situations like it was now in the feature race, when those two guys are holding hand in front, like what am I supposed to do? I can't do anything about it.
Well, let's try and get more than 20 minutes of practice next for the next round, and hopefully you can go one step better.
Yeah, I hope so. My aim is to win one of these races someday. So
Fantastic. Well, congratulations, Albin. Great to talk to you.
thank you, and good race to both Andre and Noah and Luciano. Very fast drivers, all of you.
Brilliant, brilliant. I'm sure Andre will appreciate that. Andre Souza is just joining us right now for the eco.gg team. Andre, hopefully you can hear us. And yeah, congratulations. How did you see the race from your perspective? Was it enjoyable?
First of all, good afternoon, guys. Hi, everyone. Yes, quite enjoyable. I could say really, really enjoyable. At the first race, I made a small mistake. Got a small black flag, so I had to make a recovery race. And about the second one, I saw the chaos in front of me and tried a different strategy. So for the last 10 or 11 laps, I was completely out of tires already. So
Wow.
I was more worried. I was way more worried about finishing the podium other than attack the second place. So
Right.
it was a racecraft strategy, basically.
Yeah, we're just seeing a very slow
But-
motion replay of your worn out tires as you're following in the wheel tracks of Albin there. But how was it? I mean, did you manage to save any performance so that you could sprint at the end, or did you have to just use every bit of your fuel?
I try to save as most as I can because I know that if I fight him, Reese would reach us, and then I could lose both positions. So in this case, it was better to think a little bit and think, okay, it's better one position less than two, and then was
Right.
just try to save and try to attack him in the last 2 laps because I was putting some pressure on him, and hopefully would be a good thing. Unfortunately, this time it doesn't it wasn't succeeded, but it's a podium one way or the other. It's a podium, and I'm still on the
Yeah.
fight. You know.
Definitely. I mean, you came in with a podium for the first round of the championship, and you're currently you entered the championship in fourth position. Hopefully, this will help you make the jump ahead of Gergo Danko there in the points. So you're in the top group. What chance do you think of being able to get a win this season? What would you say is your favorite track coming up?
I need to recheck the schedule again, but I know that I saw a few good tracks. I think Miami. I don't think I need to
We got
check.
Miami. We've got Adelaide next,
Yeah.
then Miami, then Oschersleben, and followed by Hermanos Rodriguez,
Okay.
Mexico.
Oschersleben might be my biggest chance. It's a track that I know that really fast there. Might be my best chance to get a win.
Awesome.
While
Awesome.
then I can't get a chance. I just need to get as much more points as I can.
Yes.
So I can go to the last round with chances of winning this, or at least the top 3.
Excellent. How are you finding the F4 car anyway? Are you enjoying the driving in it?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Do you enjoy the F4 car?
Yeah, a lot. I like the formulas in a general way. For the F4 is the car that I drive the most, but I always try not to. I always try to race the other ones so I can keep at least a good pace. For example, try to drive a Super Formula might help me a little bit in the F4, you know. So I try to keep fit in all the formulas.
Yeah.
But definitely the F4 is my favorite one.
Awesome. Well, congratulations! A great feature race out there.
And yeah, good to see the eco.gg team out there with its bright colours. Always helpful for a commentator to see brightly coloured cars. So congratulations, Andre, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for all the competitors. It was an amazing race, a little bit chaotic, but really fun race to go. And that's it. I hope to talk to you again the next rounds. That's it.
Yes. Good luck. Us, we'll talk to you soon. Yeah, fantastic to hear from our top three there. Everybody making themselves available. I haven't seen anybody else yet. I'll just check the waiting room, but I think that's probably our broadcast today. So fantastic out there. We had a fantastic race. We will keep in touch though with the stewards because we may see some reports following, particularly the start of that round, that sprint race, and of course at the big moment, which was the clash between Vitvot and tail runner there for a while, Louis Butler. So we'll check that out and maybe bring you some news. Keep an eye on the Ukraine Racing League channel and socials, and of course visit SimGrid and find out the F4 challenge there with Ukrainian Racing League, and we'll keep those standings up to date for you. It's been a fabulous run here at Lime Rock Park. Don't forget, we will be back on April 4th for the Adelaide Street Circuit round 3 of our very short 6-round championship at the F4 Challenge by the Ukrainian Racing League. It's been a pleasure to be with you here today, live or on demand if you're watching later. My name is Weboo. You can find me at Weboo Red 5 on most everywhere else, including on YouTube. But from us here at the Ukrainian Racing League today, thank you so much for watching. We will catch you on the next race day.